Hey guys, back here with Tua for another video. Update pup date time, 21 months. If you're new to this channel, I do this type of video every month on my Bullmastiff Tua as he turns another month older. So he's 21 months old now. And I update you guys on some main things every month with this style video. And those are his growth, his food, what I'm feeding him, socialization, drooling, energy levels, and his barking. And then I also update you guys on just some new noteworthy things that I feel that you should know month to month as well, anything that stuck out from the month. And I've been doing this type of video ever since I brought him home. And for the first year of his life, I did him week by week, and after he turned a year old, I started doing them month by month just because there wasn't as many changes. But the whole point of these videos is to just give anybody that would be interested in the Bullmastiff breed just a great source of information to look back on and to hopefully answer many of the questions that I had myself going into getting a Bullmastiff. There's lots of great resources out there online, but this is kind of a week by week and now month by month breakdown of exactly what you could be going through if you were to get a Bullmastiff. So if you are interested in the Bullmastiff breed, stick around. So some new things for the month that kind of stuck out to me or that were just like noteworthy. We boarded Tua for the first time since we've had him. Anytime we've left town or anything like that, we've always had somebody either come stay at our house and watch him, or we brought them to somebody else's house to watch him. But we are traveling a little bit more this year, so we wanted to get him used to possibly being at an overnight kennel. And we went to my wife's cousin's wedding a few hours away from us, and we thought that would be a perfect opportunity to go ahead and give him a couple nights at a boarding place. So we brought him there. He did really good. I was pretty nervous actually, just because he had never been away. It's kind of sending your kid off to school for the first time kind of feeling. And they actually, like, if you know my channel, if you know me, we feed them raw dog food, and they actually were able to refrigerate that. That was one of my hesitations, was are we going to be able to give them raw dog food there? Are we going to have to put them back on straight kibble? But they did great with that. Another thing that kind of I didn't even really think of, but as we were calling around trying to find places, is a lot of these places will not take dogs that are not neutered. And Tua is not neutered as of right now, and we kind of had a little bit of a difficult time finding a place that would take him, because I guess a lot of these places mix the dogs together, and the place that we found, they don't do any like playing or interacting between dogs. There's always fences up around in between them in their own runs that they have there. So that's something to think about. That's maybe a con of having your dog not neutered, is if you're going to bring them to a place like this. You might have to do some looking around. And one place was going to take him, but they wanted to do some sort of like mental evaluation, and they wanted us to go in there for a few hours and kind of test him doing certain things. And I was just like, I'll just move on. I don't really have time for this. But I mean, understandable if you're going to be mixing the dogs. There's aggression issues with all kinds of dogs, but honestly, I didn't even want him to be mixed with other dogs just because I'm not worried about him. He's great with people and dogs, but you never know what you're going to get if you get, 20 or 30 dogs together. So, but enough of that. He did great, and they actually said he was one of the best behaved dogs there. So, good job, Tua. Pretty proud. And we'll be doing it again actually in a few days here this week. My wife and I are actually going to Miami to go see the real Tua play a football game. So we're going to go down there for just a quick trip, 3, 4, 5 days, and be back. And we are going to board him again, and hopefully all goes well. The other thing from this month that stuck out is Tua had a really bad case of diarrhea, and he even threw up one day. And this went on for 4 or 5, maybe 6 days, and he's all good now. But I never did end up taking him to the vet because it never got like too out of control. And the other weird thing with it was my other dog, our little miniature pincher, also got sick and had diarrhea and was throwing up as well for a few days. Not quite as long as Tua. So I don't know if there was something going around that they kind of transferred to each other. And this definitely wasn't relevant to when we boarded him either, because this happened, a couple weeks later. And it wasn't relevant to food or anything like that because they eat different types of food also. So I'm not really sure what happened, but there was something going around in the doggy world here, I guess, for a sickness, at least in our house, for about a week. And so I had to feed him, very small amounts because there was one time when he actually had an accident inside because he couldn't hold it, so that was a big mess. So there was 3-4 days where I hardly fed him much for food. So I'm sure he lost weight. Well, he did lose weight, as I'll get into growth here. But he's all good now. I'm not sure what the deal was, but dogs can get sick just like people. It's not always serious. But he got over it and we're good now. But now I will go ahead and get into the normal things that I touch on every single month. And like I said, we'll start with growth. Last month, Tua was 154 pounds, and he did not gain any weight. And I will credit that to the fact that his whole diarrhea and being sick and stuff like that. He's 154 pounds still. But like I said, there was a good solid week in there where I wasn't really feeding him a whole lot. I was trying to keep his stomach pretty empty for the most part. So otherwise, that's the first time he hasn't gained weight in a long time, guys. I can't even think the last time that he wouldn't have gained anything. But 154 pounds, still a really big boy. I still think he's gonna, approach and maybe surpass about 160 because he's still pretty lean, guys. He could still fill out quite a bit. Still kind of an athletic dog when he wants to be. Can still feel his ribs, see his ribs if the sun's hitting them just right. But yeah, that's where we're at for growth. Food is the next thing that we'll touch on. If you guys are familiar with the channel, I do feed him a split of raw food and kibble. And we're probably at like an 80-20 split now, guys, of 80% of that being raw food. I did a lot of my own raw food preparation this month. In the previous video, I told you guys I had ordered from a raw food company, which I absolutely love, and it's great, and I'm going to continue ordering from them, but just periodically because it is so expensive to do that way. And I kind of enjoy doing it myself also. It's kind of fun just prepping the food and knowing exactly what he's eating and weighing it out and seeing exactly how much he's eating, and just, I don't know, it's just one of those things that I kind of enjoy doing for a weird reason. But this month when I prepared my own, we did turkey, ground hamburger, beef liver, chicken feet, a few other things kind of mixed in there. And like I said, I'm going to be ordering again from Laboratory here, probably when we get back from our trip. And that food's just top notch. But like I said, just the price makes me not order every single month. It's probably going to be like quarterly or something. But if you're not familiar with raw food, do a lot of your own research. It's really great for the dog. It can be very intimidating at first, but you'll catch on pretty quick. You'll realize it's not a big deal for the dog. It's actually better for them than kibble. If you have any questions about it, you can also ask me. But again, I'm not an expert on it, but I have been feeding Tua raw food now for, over a year. Probably a year and a half since I started experimenting with it, and it's really great for the dog. Socialization is the next thing that we'll touch on. So I've beat this drum on this channel for as long as I've been doing this channel, that if you're going to have a big dog, I mean any dog, but a big dog for sure, you need to socialize the crap out of that dog, because when he gets big and strong, he can pull you around, and if he's going to be a crazy dog, and not only that, but not familiar with people or dogs or animals or things like that, and he freaks out, it's not going to be a good recipe for you guys. You want that dog to be familiar with everything. So like I say, when you bring that puppy Bullmastiff home, you make that your part-time job to socialize him, expose him to people, animals, dogs, stores, different sights, sounds, smells, anything you can think of, and you do that, for a couple hours almost every day. Part-time job that. That's what we did with Tua, and he has been great with people, great with dogs. Couldn't ask for a better dog at this point. The only problem with him is he loves people so much, and he's so big that, like, if people come over those first, 5 or 10 minutes, he gets so excited and he can kind of run into legs and stuff. So we'll just have to keep him on a leash for like those first 5 or 10 minutes when we do have people come over, and then he calms down and he's just back to regular old Tua, but loves people. But for socialization this month, I already kind of touched on the one. Obviously, we boarded him overnight for a couple nights at the kennel, so he was exposed to tons of new people and new dogs around him on the other side of a fence, but they were there, other dogs. And then my wife also had her fantasy football draft, where she had, I think there was 9 or 10 girls that came over for her draft that were pretty much all new to Tua. And he did really great with all them. Like I said, loved people. He was sucking up all the petting and love that he could get. And yeah, that was pretty much it for socialization this month. It was kind of typical, walks here and there. But pretty normal month for socialization. But we did so much when he was younger. Like I said, part-time job socializing him. Now it's just kind of, he is who he is, but great with people, great with dogs. Energy is the next thing that we'll touch on, and he still has, days here and there where he is a little bit more up, I guess I would say, where it's higher and he wants to run around and kind of just mess with me or mess with the kids or mess with our other dog. But overall, he's a Bullmastiff, guys. He's lazy overall, and it wasn't like this all the time. You'd have to go back and watch these videos in order, but when they're puppies, any dog when they're puppies are pretty high energy, and Tua was no exception to that. He wasn't always this lazy, but now as he's approaching 2 years old, you can definitely tell these dogs aren't high energy at all. And he'll still get up and go if I want him to, and if I egg him on, and he'll run hard, especially if we go, out to my mom's lake, which you guys have seen on these videos, and he'll still get out there and get running on sprints and things like that when he's off leash. But overall, guys, he's a pretty lazy dog. He doesn't want to do much most days, but at the same time, he's not going to turn down a chance to go on a 1 or 2 mile walk, something like that, or play fetch in the backyard. Drooling is the next thing we'll touch on. Tua is a drooler. I know this is a big issue with people that are interested in the breed, but 90% of his drooling is just around food and water. It hasn't really been a big deal to me personally. In the hot weather, when he's hot and panting outside, he'll drool, quite a bit as he's aged. But again, like you kind of figure out when these times are going to be that the Bullmastiff does drool. When you're inside and you're in the air conditioning and things like that, they don't really do a whole lot of drooling unless you're, giving them food or treats or anything like that, at least in my personal experience. So I wouldn't let drooling be something that completely talks you out of one of these dogs. But it does get messy at times, I'm not going to lie to you guys, especially around water and around food. And that's really the main thing, but it's not like these dogs just wake up with drool hanging from their jowls and it's there all day and they go to bed with drool hanging from their jowls. It's just certain times, and you learn when those times are fairly quickly. So drooling hasn't been a big deal for me, but when it is going on, it is a lot. So just something to keep in mind. Barking is the last thing that we'll touch on. And similar to all the previous months kind of leading up to this over the last 6-8 months, the only time that he really barks is in our backyard. And like I said, that's because we have a big fence. He can't see over it, so when he's hearing noises and stuff, he's unsure of what it is. Otherwise, he does not really bark at all. I will say this last month, though, he had a few moments that weren't really typical to him, where he was letting out a little bit of barks inside. Like last night, my wife and kids were all in bed, and I was staying up later just messing around on YouTube or something, watching videos, so there really wasn't any noise in the house. So, it was very quiet, and there was some cars that, like a car kind of pulled in our driveway and turned around, and he saw that, or he could see the lights, coming through the window, and he perked up immediately and ran to our front door and looked out the window, and he was letting out some barks there. And that was kind of not really typical to him. So I don't know if more guarding instinct is coming out the older he's getting, because generally he won't bark at all unless he's in our backyard and he's hearing things. But overall, you know, the Bull Mastiff is known as a silent watchdog. They don't do a whole lot of barking unless they need to. And he's kind of fitting that mold as well, kind of falling right in line with where he's supposed to be as far as barking goes, guys. That's all I have for this week, though. 21 months update, pup date. If you stuck around, watch the whole video, really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, leave them down there in the comments. There's lots of other Bull Mastiff owners that watch this channel, so kind of a great source of information from a bunch of different people. And thanks again for watching, guys. Take care.